I would like to welcome the one and only Jim Kwik, the world's leading speed learning and memory expert in the world. I am so excited for this, Jim.
Bill, thank you so much for having me. I'm very, very, very excited to share with you the latest strategies and tools to be able to upgrade the most important wealth building device there is, which is the human brain. This is the thing. I love working with high performers. That's my wheelhouse. That's my joy. And so if you're here, you are here because you're qualified to be here, and on the other side of performance in leadership, we have these challenges now more than ever, whether it happens to be the darker side, the burnout, the exhaustion, balancing work and life. You don't know if you're working from home or living at work, releasing the beliefs and thoughts that hold you back. Overcoming past, mental or emotional bottlenecks, especially when it comes to supporting our clients, supporting our teams. This was actually the cover of Entrepreneur magazine a couple months ago, and it has this silly looking guy on there holding a brain, but it says, upgrade your brain, learn more, think faster, focus better. And how many of you came here today like to have a better brain? And how many of you came here today Tim, yes, obviously, this is kind of a no-brainer, if you will. How many of you like to have better focus and concentration? Would that be supportive of you? How many people came here today like to have a better memory? How many of you forgot why you came here today? Have you ever done that? Have you ever walked into a room of your own home and just forgot why you walked in there? Or you go to the refrigerator, you get something, or you go to the store to buy one thing and you come back with like 2 bags full of things, except for the one thing that you went there for. Anyone here feel a little bit absent-minded? Senior moments are coming way too early. Like you read a page in a book, get to the end, just forget what you just read. Or you misplace things like your wallet, your purse, your cell phone, or your car keys. Or if not your car keys, something larger like your car. Have you ever seen the people in the parking lots using their car alarm, like GPS, trying to figure out where they parked? What about names and faces? Is that important in business to remember people's names? I think it is the #1 business etiquette networking skill there is, because how are you going to show somebody you're going to care for their future, their finances, their business, their family, if you don't care enough just to remember their name? Right, write down this. Like, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that's the thing. And so we're going to talk a lot about how emotions play a role in whether it's your marketing or your influence persuasion or your motivation, or also your memory also as well. Because we know people don't biologically, right? They buy emotionally. They justify logically because we're not logical. We are biological. I want to really go and get to the things that's challenging you most. So I want to give you the 6 keys to learning any subject or skill faster. And the reason why: an individual or a team's ability to learn rapidly and translate that learning into action is the ultimate competitive advantage. It is the ultimate competitive advantage today. All right. Because if you could learn how to learn faster, you could focus better and concentrate, you're going to get better results. If you know how to be able to listen and be able to retain information quicker and have it at your mental fingertips confidently for a long period of time, if you could read 2 or 3 times faster and still understand that or more, if you could be able to apply it, what can you apply that to? Everything. You can apply it towards media, marketing, management, money, martial arts, Mandarin, music, everything in your life gets easier. So it's the ultimate skill to have today. So here's 6 keys to learning any subject or skill faster. I want you to remember be fast, the acronym be fast. All right. So we'll go through this really quickly. The B stands for believe. And this is the mindset part, right? If you believe you can or believe you can, either way, what? You know it. You're right, right? Henry Ford said that. Please write this down. This is so important for yourself, for you to be able to help your families, be able to help your teams, your clients. All behavior is belief driven. All behavior is belief driven. In order to create a new result in your life, you need to do behavior. In order to do that behavior, you need an empowering belief that allows that to be possible, that says it's possible. Because here's the thing. A lot of people will come to me and they'll say, Jim, I'm just too old. I have a horrible memory. And I always say, stop. If you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. If you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. They're yours, right? And here's the thing about the human brain. Your brain is like a supercomputer, and your self-talk is a program it will run. So if you tell yourself, I'm not good at remembering people's names, you will not remember the name of the next person you meet. because you program your supercomputer not to. That's how powerful it is. Athletes, they don't do just physical training. What do athletes do? They do mental training, right? They do visualization. In fact, here's a great example. In 1954, what did Roger Bannister do? What is he world renowned for? 1954, Roger Bannister. Nobody could run a mile in less than 4 minutes. And how he was able to do it, there was an ESPN special, if you saw it below, like a documentary. He would not only do physical training, he would do mental training. He would see himself in his mind crossing the finish line, looking at the clock, and the clock says 3 minutes and 59 seconds, because he knows what you know. That's what leadership is, taking the invisible and making it visible, right? It's not I'll believe it when I see it. It's the opposite. You'll see it when you believe it, right? And that was an interesting thing to me in the documentary. What really actually blew my mind is nobody could do it for all this time. One person does it. What happens after that? Tell me, what happens after that? One person does it, and then what happens after that? Yeah, more start doing it, right? You have high school kids running a sub 4 minute mile. Were there big advances, over those years, like in shoe technology, nutritional support, training methodology? No. Where was the change? A change in what? In belief, right? Because most of our beliefs, they're just BS. Right? Belief systems. If you think you can or think you can, either way, you're right. Right. So that's why if you Google or YouTube my name, you see lots of videos out there. I'll sometimes do these demonstrations. Well, I'll have like 50 people in an audience stand up, and I'll pass around a microphone and they'll introduce themselves, and I'll memorize all their names and faces in real time. Or they'll give me 100 random words or 100 random numbers, and I'll recall them forwards and backwards. But I always tell people, I don't do this to impress you. I do this to express to you what's possible, because the truth is you could do this too. And you're thinking, no, there's no way. That's a limiting belief, because this is my 30th year of teaching, right? The reason why I know it's possible, regardless of your age, your background, your career, education level, your gender, your history, your IQ, is because I grew up with learning difficulties. When I was 5 years old, I had a traumatic brain injury in kindergarten class, poor focus, concentration, poor memory. It took me 3 years longer to learn how to read, just like the other kids. When I was 9 years old, I was slowing down the class. The teacher pointed to me and said, "That's the boy with the broken brain." And that label became my limit. So I struggled all through school. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because I've found out ways to compensate, right? And go from below normal to story ends pretty well. But everybody could do this, right? Our book Limitless, which many of you might have, is endorsed by the #1 Alzheimer's researcher out of Harvard University, that's founding director of the Cleveland Clinic Center for Brain Health. And they say about 1/3 of your memory is predetermined by genetics and biology, but 2/3 is in your control. 2/3 is in your control. So I'm going to talk about how to move the needle for you, because I believe two of the most costly words in business, you know what they are? For me, I believe it. I forgot to do it. I forgot that meeting. I forgot that appointment. I forgot that conversation. I forgot what I was going to say. I forgot that name. It just goes on and on. Every time you say those words, you could lose credibility. You could lose trust. You could hurt a relationship. You could kill the sale. But when you can remember things, client information, product information, give a speech without notes, walk into a room with 20 strangers and say goodbye to every single one using their name, that is a real life superpower. Right. So let's talk about this, how to be able to do this. The first is B, believe. The E in, we're going to be fast. E stands for exercise. All right. Because practice makes what? Progress, right? Practice makes progress. And so here's the thing. Your memory is like a muscle. It's use it or lose it. Your brain is like a muscle. It's use it or lose it. There's something I talk about in Limitless called digital dementia. This is a real term in healthcare, basically saying we're so dependent on our smart devices that their smart devices are making us stupid. All right. And it's like, think about, like, it keeps your to-dos, it keeps your calendars, it does simple math, it has all your phone numbers. How many phone numbers did you know growing up? How many phone numbers? I'm going to ask you a question. How many phone numbers do you know? Prince, all of them. How many phone numbers do you know now? Current numbers? None. 1, 2, maybe. That's digital dementia. And, and I train at Facebook. I train at Google, at SpaceX, at Nike, these performance organizations. Like Google's like, oh, we don't have to know anything. It's because there's search engines, right? But here's the thing. Your brain is like a muscle. It's use it or lose it. If I put my arm in a sling for a year, would it grow stronger? No, of course not. Would it even stay the same? No. It would what? You know this, it would just get weaker. It would atrophy, right? That's our mental muscles, all right? So how can we engage more of our mental muscles and exercise it, because it's use it or lose it? So the E stands for exercise, not just physical exercise. That's a given. People who are more physically active will do better on mental acuity, focus, because what's good for your heart is gonna be good for your head, blood flow and oxygen, right? All right, so exercise. So the bad news, to remember names, takes a little effort. The good news, not as much as you think. FAST, F-A-S-T. This is for your productivity and your performance, and honestly for your prosperity, because they're linked, right? The faster you can learn, the faster you can earn, because knowledge today is not only power, knowledge is profit, right? And if you feel a little bit like you feel seen or you feel attacked, right? This is what a coach does. They call you on your stuff, all right? But nobody's ever talked to us about these kind of things. So here's the thing. F, to learn faster. And think about what you want to learn faster: Mandarin, martial arts, marketing, management, right? Anything, media. Here's the thing. F, forget. And you're like, Jim, you're this memory guy. Forget two things. I want you to temporarily forget what you know about a subject so you can learn something new, right? You know, as you're going through and you're hearing from different experts, set aside what you know about something so you can learn something new. Set aside what you know, in my case, about focus, memory, reading, because that's all old. Right? When you never took a class back in school called memory, that should have been required. They teach you 3M, right? They teach you like not 3A's, right? Like they have their R's, reading, writing, arithmetic. But what about recall? What about retention? What about Socrates said learning is remembering, right? And so memory was not taught. So when you look at your child and say, remember this, or focus, or study, that's like going to somebody saying, play the ukulele, who's never taken a class on how to do that. We were never taking a class on how to do these things. And so going back to F, forget what you know about a subject so you can learn something new, right? Because if you don't know about marketing funnels, and putting together, your brand messaging, all that, then set aside what you know so you can learn something. You have to empty your cup. The second thing I want you to forget is as important. I want you to forget about distractions. And it's easier said than done, but here's what I mean. How many of you do a lot of multitasking? You find yourself doing a lot, different things. You have Slack and social media and emails, and you have all these things, doing it now. Okay, you're honest. I can appreciate that. Let me give you what the data says, all right? When the research says that you actually are not multitasking, that you cannot do more than one cognitive activity at once. You could certainly go for a walk and chew gum and listen to an audiobook, but two parallel cognitive activities, your brain can't process. What you're actually doing more accurately, task switching. If you're not multitasking, you're task switching. And it costs you three things. That's hurting your productivity, your performance, and your peace of mind, and your profits. Number one, it's costing you time. The thing you think you're gaining, you're losing. That's right. You think you're multitasking, you're saving time. You're actually losing time. What do I mean? Because to regain your focus from when you're going from one task to another could be 3, 4, 5, 10 minutes to regain your focus and your flow. All right. Second thing besides time, it costs you mistakes. We get to work with a lot of doctors and attorneys. When like a surgeon is trying to multitask during surgery, he or she makes more errors, right? And so you're making, not only you're losing time, but you're also making mistakes. And if that wasn't reason enough to stop multitasking, the third reason, energy. When you switch from task to task back and forth, you burn more brain glucose. And if you suffer from, let me talk to people who are suffering from mental fatigue, or you're reading something, or you're multitasking, you're distracting yourself and everything, you're falling asleep, or you have brain fog. It could be because you're trying to do too many things at once. You have too many tabs open. And even if you minimize it, it still takes up energy, right? So you actually burn more energy going from task to task as opposed to staying on task. All right. So that's the F, forget distractions, forget about what you know about a subject so you can upgrade and learn new skills like you're doing here. The A in FAST, active. Please write this down. Learning is not a spectator sport. Just learning like life is not a spectator sport. Yet when you were lectured to in school, The human brain doesn't learn best through consumption. It learns better through creation and co-creation and being active. So how can you be more active? Like I asked you to be active in the chat, right? You're engaged, right? Taking notes. So those are more active ways of being. And by the way, taking notes, here's a fun way if you're doing handwriting notes. Take the piece of paper, put a line right down the page. And on the left side, you're doing left brain stuff. On the right side, you're doing right brain. What do I mean? On the left side, you're going to capture. On the right side, you're going to create. Okay, so the left side, how to remember names. What are the best brain foods? What's Jim's morning routine to jumpstart his brain? All the stuff you could ask about. How do you read faster? You're capturing. On the right side, you're going to create. That's a subtle difference. You're going to write your impressions of what you're capturing. All right, that's more right brain. Because if you're going to get distracted, your imagination is going to go somewhere. I'd rather go on the right side of the page, right? So on the left side, let's say a different way. On the left side, you're going to take notes. On the right side, you're going to make notes. Fantastic. Amazing. All right. Left side, take notes. Right side, make notes. All right. So that's active. And you're being active right now. S, this is a big one, probably the biggest one. Be fast. The S stands for state. State. When I say state, I mean your emotional state, the mood of your mind and your body. Because here's what, how many of you want better long-term memory? When you learn something, you want to retain it for a longer period of time. All right, here's the key to long-term memory. Say this and do this. Information, come on, put your hand out. Information, and say information, combined with emotions, become long-term memories. One more time. Information, combined with emotions, become long-term memories. All right, here's the thing. When you add emotions to something, it makes it more memorable. Here's a question. How many of you have a song that could take you hear it, right? It could be on the car radio in the background, and it takes you back to when you're a teenager. How many of you know immediately, right? Yep. How many of you have a fragrance or a food? You could smell it, you could taste it, it could take you back to when you're a child. Because information by itself is forgettable, but information combined with emotions become unforgettable. Now, on the other side, let me ask you a question. When you're in school, right? You're in law school, you're in university, or even you were in high school. Let's go back to high school. What was the primary emotion you felt sitting in class? When you were sitting in class 8 hours a day, what was the primary emotion you felt? Now, on a scale of 0 to 10, what's boredom? Look at all the answers, boredom. 0 to 10, 0, right? And I said information times emotions become long-term memory, right? Your middle brain, your amygdala, your hippocampus, right? Hippocampus memory, your amygdala's firing emotions, information. So if the 0 to 10, boredom is 0. Information times emotion becomes a long-term memory. If the emotion is 0, boredom, anything times 0 is what? 0. And you wonder why you forgot the periodic table, right? And so that's got to be a challenge. So my suggestion for you to learn subject or skill faster, not only believe and practice through exercise, and then also forget what you know, forget about distractions, be active, control your state, because all learning is state dependent, right? And so who controls how you feel? You do, right? You control how you feel. Like right now, sit the way you'd be sitting if you're really interested in what I was saying, like really, really focused, really, really paying attention, really, really interested. Now, why do you even have to move, right? Hopefully you didn't have to move because you're feeling that way already. But if you did, you know something fundamental about feelings, that your physiology is affecting your psychology and that you're responsible for it. You know why? Because here, where you're watching this, you're a thermostat, not a thermometer. Right? You're a thermostat, not a thermometer. What does a thermometer do? What's the only function of a thermometer? It just reacts to the environment. Whatever the environment gives it, it's going to react to it, right? What does a thermostat do? A thermostat doesn't react to the environment. What does a thermostat do? It gauges the environment, right? But what does it do? It sets a temperature, and what happens to the environment? The environment reacts to it. And as a thermometer, sometimes as human beings, we act like a thermometer. We react to the economy, we react to how people treat us, we can react to politics. But in actuality, who controls how we feel, right? We do. We have agency, right? A great book, Man's Search for Meaning. Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Incredible book about how we could decide what experiences mean to us, right? And how to feel about them. On the other side, a thermostat, you set a temperature, and the environment reacts to you. Well, you set a vision, right? You set KPIs, you set goals, right? And then the environment reacts. You're Roger Bannister, you're taking the invisible and you're making it visible, right? Because success is an inside out process. All right. So here's the thing. Going back to state, remember that you are responsible. All right, that's state, control your state. So how practical can you make it? On a scale of 0 to 10, how do you feel? And maybe your honest answer is a 5. Then gamify it. What do I need to do to make it a 6? Because even that one little jump, or taking from 5 to 6 or 6 to 7 or 5 to 7, makes a huge impact on your retention of the information. You're adding more emotion. Maybe it's I'm gonna do some deep breathing, but I'm gonna play some soundtrack music, right? Maybe I'm gonna put a bit silly $1 billion smile on. But whatever you could do, it'll affect how you encode the information. Because information by itself in a bored state, you won't remember. But information, when you add emotions, becomes unforgettable. And then finally, the T, very important, teach. Your intention when you learn something, if you want to learn it faster, matters. And if you learn with the intention of teaching somebody else, you get to benefit from what they call the explanation effect. The explanation effect. If you're going to learn, and we have some more time together, and I'm going to answer your questions. And if you're learning it as if you wanted to teach it to somebody else, or maybe you had to give a TED talk about it next Monday, would you focus better? Of course. Would you take more thorough notes? Of course. Would you ask more detailed probing questions? Of course, right? You would own that information. So if you want to learn a subject or skill faster, learn with the intention of explaining or teaching it to somebody else. And that's what the T stands for. And you know this, right? But my point is, a coach sometimes reminds you of what you do when you do it really, really well. All right. And that's really my goal for you.